Yesterday morning here in Richmond, it was cold, mid-30s, and rainy. Cold and rainy. Probably one of my least favorite weather conditions. And, as is always the case, it was time to walk the dog. So I looked out and realized what this weather was, and realized that it really was time to walk the dog. And I stepped back from denying that it was rainy and cold. I stepped back from resisting walking the dog. And I stepped back from wishing that things were other than they were. And I just got present with what it was. And so I put on my rain gear, put the leash on the dog, and out we went. And as I walked along, I allowed myself to be fully present to the rain, the wind, the cold. I could feel the rain on my face, feel the cold. Of course, Brady didn't care. He's from Celtic heritage, and this was just a Celtic day for him. He was delighted to be out. But I was feeling fully alive, fully present with what was, not resisting it, not tensing up, either mentally or physically. And so there was no separateness between me and the experience. It was exactly what it is, what it was. And so my invitation is to open yourself up to this possibility of exploring what it means to be fully alive in every moment, and experiment with it in whatever ways come up for you, and see what happens. See what you learn from being fully present and fully alive in each moment as we go along. This notion of between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our capacity to choose, our freedom. And in a lot of ways, this business of being fully present, of being fully alive, is a natural extension closely related to space. Space is this place where there is no denial, no resistance, no wishing things other than they are. We're present to what it is. We're not feeling constricted, controlled by some external variable, or even by some internal emotion. We're simply present. We're open to making choices that are skillful and beneficial for ourselves and others. This is the ultimate human freedom. No matter what happens externally, we always have access to this place, this space, where we can choose, where we can be free. And interestingly, when we're in this place where we can choose, when we're feeling the space, then we're feeling fully alive. And when we're feeling fully alive, there's a sense of spaciousness. So the two feed one another. They create a virtuous, supporting, reinforcing loop. Now, of course, it's easy to feel fully alive in moments of pleasantness. If you're a Tampa Bay fan this morning, there's a lot of pleasantness and joy. It's easy to feel fully alive. Maybe not so much in Kansas City. Of course, it's harder when things are disappointing, when they don't go the way we wanted them to or expected them to. It's harder in moments when we're angry, or when there's been some really meaningful loss, when we're really experiencing grief. But however difficult it is to deal with the disappointment and the grief, we make it harder when we're in denial, resistance, or wishing things other than they are. When we're not fully present when we're distracted by the resistance or the wishing. That's what makes life even harder. Life, as we all know, is hard enough just as it is. Why would we make it harder? It's about being in this place where we align with the realities of life just as they are in the moment, which calls for a certain fluidity and adaptability on our part. Tara Brach says, unless we can recognize and accept the rain and cold that are here in this moment, the difficulty that's present in this moment, we won't know how to cope with what's happening. We won't know how to extricate ourselves from it. We won't know how to ameliorate our own experience. We won't know how to change our relationship to what's happening. And we will get caught in this place of racing away from the actual joy that's present because we want to make it last longer or figure out how to make it happen again soon. Or we're resisting it and denying it. That's what makes it harder. So let's try a little practice around all of this. After all this cognitive processing, let's take a couple of deep breaths. Give ourselves a little space, a little settling in. In whatever way works for you, grounding yourself in the present moment, in the present experience. And allowing for some softening. And allowing your attention to go to your breathing. Just being with the inflow and outflow of your breath. Gently holding, allowing your attention to be with your breathing. Feeling the aliveness in the breathing process. Noticing where you feel especially alive with your attention on your breathing. And expanding our awareness and recalling a fairly recent, pleasant, joyful experience. What was happening? Who was present? What might have been said? Just resting in the feeling, the experience of joy and happiness. Noticing and gently letting go of any inclination to figure out how to keep this going longer or make it happen again soon. Just being with the joy itself. Especially noting the physical sensations of joy. And gently holding your attention right there where that sensation is showing up in your body. As you stay present with this joy and happiness, sense what it's like to be fully alive with the joy and happiness. How does that show up for you, being fully alive? And letting go of this experience of feeling joyful and happy, and shifting toward an opposite experience, toward a fairly recent experience that was unpleasant and difficult, challenging for you, perhaps produced some unpleasant emotions. What was happening? Who was present? What was said? However unpleasant, staying with this experience. Noticing the physical sensations that accompany this unpleasant experience. Experimenting with feeling fully alive to the unpleasantness. Noticing any inclination to deny that this happened or to resist it. Especially any inclination to wish that it had been other than it was. any inclination to escape it at the moment. Noticing what those inclinations feel like, how they arise in your body. This is being fully present, fully alive. Notice if there's any sense of space that accompanies being fully alive and present. And letting go of this unpleasant experience and coming back to your breathing. Noticing the aliveness, the life in the experience of breathing.